Chapter 18. The following Friday, John's eyes struggled to stay open. His notepad had scribbles from the long lectures, something about the visiting psychopharmacologist stating that 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗓 was the gold standard by which all other antipsychotic medications would be measured. But a psychiatrist in the room had disagreed, listing the dangerous side effects. John had written down those opinions, as well as the psychiatrist promoting statements for 𝗕𝗢𝗓𝗓, but the guest speaker seemed to have lost his steam and ended early, leaving far too much time for Dr. 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗓 to roll through a review on group settings and certain skills that would help patients open up. Most of 𝗕𝗕𝗢𝗓𝗓's remarks seemed like a standard review. John again felt himself begin to nod off. Dr. Sanders. Dr. 𝗕𝗓𝗢𝗓's voice jumped in volume. If anyone is in need of this information, it's you. Suddenly, the speech shifted, turning into a drill on the policies and procedures of Clearcreek. Dr. 𝗕𝗓𝗢𝗓 kept eyeing John, especially when he spoke on the policy of appropriate interaction with patients. It seemed the president's dark eyes were searching John, making sure his words had left their mark. When the meeting closed, John was the first to leave. Anita, who had been recording the presentation, caught up with him. You okay? She asked. He smirked in disgust. I'm fine. She kept up with his advancing stride. You seem a little concerned. Was it hot in there, or was it just me? There were a couple times when maybe he forgot about the other people in the room. He did. At least he didn't ask you to respond to his statements. She let out a forced laugh. I've seen worse. What makes him so arrogant and untrusting? It's only because he loves the mentally ill world. John slowed down his pace. What's that supposed to mean? Most people, she paused and looked around the hallway, who deal with psychiatric care, have their own psychosis. John released a cynical laugh. What? So you're saying we're all here because the staff all have elements of psychotic tendencies? Not all of us, she smiled. I just deal with the paperwork. It's all you guys who have got problems. Thanks, Anita, for this new perspective, John said with sarcasm. Glad I could help. Just remember, part of the reason why Dr. 𝗕𝗓𝗢𝗓𝗓 is the way that he is, he's sorting out his own madness. Anita turned toward the main hall. See you later. John made his way up the stairwell and thought about her comment, only to have a chorus of questions haunt him. Did the president have a paranoia tendency? A distorted personality? Or was John the one having a persecution complex? Did Dr. 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓 truly despise him? Was he against accepting John, or was John against accepting the president? Regardless, those dark eyes seemed to be searching for something. The next Monday, the skies were clear, except for the occasional strong winds. The air held crisp warmth. The world was reminded that spring was near. John's good spirits had returned and looked forward to hearing about the group's field trip until he was informed that Rebecca refused to attend group time. Confused, John had asked Mary Jean and the others, but no one had an answer. After the meeting ended, he walked to Rebecca's room. When he entered, the words, "How was yesterday?" froze on his lips. His heart wavered at the sight before him. On her table, bunched together in a distorted form, was the blanket. John remained motionless. He was afraid to speak, unwilling to believe what he was seeing. When the baby had disappeared, so had the blanket. He had assumed it had gone out with her old linens, but now it was back, positioned between him and Rebecca. From where she sat, he could see her eyes fixed on the blue cloth. She rolled the corner, caressed its texture, then allowed the blanket to unroll. Seconds passed. At last, Rebecca looked at him. I don't want to try. I don't want to go out there anymore. John felt a knot tighten inside him. He slid into the chair across from her. What happened? She shook her head. It's impossible. What? I can't be like that. Like what? He asked again. Then he tried to breathe calmly, hoping to hide his own anxiety. Tell me what happened. Rebecca rolled up a corner of the blanket and watched it unroll. I've been fooling myself. No, he said firmly. You can do this. I don't want to. I don't want to leave. She rolled up a corner, only to watch it unroll again. I don't want to try anymore. Talk to me, Rebecca. What changed your mind? Did something happen yesterday? Did somebody say something? Why didn't you stop me? Her green eyes looked at him, causing the knot inside him to pull tighter. Why did you let me believe this? And then he knew. Did Dr. Landerson say something? She didn't answer. What happened? He watched me lots. Muscles in John's shoulders tensed. What did he say? I don't remember, but he doesn't talk to me like you do. And that doesn't mean he's right. Yes, it does. John twisted around to look at the window. He wasn't going to mess this up. He drew in another strong breath, then turned back. Don't give up, he said, forcing a calmness. You've got too much going for you. Her body sank further into the chair. It doesn't matter. Were there too many people around you? Is that what was wrong? What happened? He leaned across the table, his voice growing more intense. Tell me what you're thinking. I can't do this. I should have never tried. No. He stood up from the table, his feet pacing the room. You need to try. You'll make it out there. I know it. She twisted to look at him, her head shaking in disagreement. Then you're the only one. Stop. Listen to me. This was dangerous. He was losing control of himself. He needed to be reasonable, to remember he couldn't command or force her. The choice was hers. He tried again. Rebecca, I believe in you. I think you can do this. I can't. He slid back into the chair, clutched his hands together, and tried to speak softly. Let's talk about your experience yesterday. She glanced at her father's journal. No. Please. He waited until he couldn't hold back. Let's work together. She reached for the journal. I think I need some time alone. When she opened the journal, a collection of note cards fell out. Are you going to write? He asked cautiously. She covered her eyes with her hand. Dr. Sanders, I don't know. Do you write your words? He spoke slowly. Or just his? She removed her hand to look at John. It's how I keep him alive. What happens when you reach the end? A sad smile crossed her face. That's why I only read a section of them. I never will read all of it. That way, he always stays alive. John looked at the note cards. There were 10, maybe 15. Does it help? Writing his words. She nodded. I feel close to him. Then she nodded her head toward the door. And that's what I need right now. John took the cue and rose from his seat. You know I'm here to help you. And you know I want what's best for you. He walked toward the door, only to pause and look back. She held a pen in her hand. I'll give you time to think, he said. I think you're right. I think you need it. Time. But you're okay. And you'll make the right choice. You will.